Well, it's time to do another one of my reviews, and I could probably review the whole bike as being as it's all new, but I'm going to concentrate on the DI12 or DI2 gear in there, and I'm running a 53/36 with a 11/34 at the back. Climbing is my bag, as you can guess. I've gone for the rim brake version because I've got a titanium Lightspeed rim brake frame, the TS1 Superlight, sorry, the T1 Superlight, and well, what can I say? I resisted getting any sort of electric gears for years because, quite frankly, I just, well, didn't need them, and at the time they were hugely expensive. They're still not cheap, and you had wires all over the place and there was all sorts of other stuff, and over time they've just kept getting better and better and better. And what actually happened was that I got hit by a car last December 2022 and my old Lightspeed was totaled, and the only thing that I've kept off that bike is the rim brakes, which weren't damaged and have sentimental value for me. But having ridden mechanical gears for all the time I've ever ridden a bike, to come to electric, I wasn't sure what to expect. And to be honest with you, I wish I could put electric gears on all my bikes now. You know, if I hadn't spent so much on other stuff, I'd be doing that, and probably over time I think I will. But as I say, 53/36, 11/34, the extra climbing ratios on it are fantastic, and I wished I'd gone with a bigger rear cassette years ago. See, there's a 34 there, and even on the big ring with the 34, I can go up climbs which I usually had to go into the small ring on the front for. Now I don't have to. Because of the functionality, I mean, well, what can I say? I mean, the only thing I would say, and whether or not it's just something specific to me, but I've sometimes got a bad habit of pedaling backwards when I'm stopping in traffic, and I found that if I'm in the big ring and in the 34 on the back, there is the potential for it to knock the chain off the cassette because it's right at the top of the range. But I wouldn't class that as a fault because you're not really supposed to pedal backwards, so that's just down to me. But the functionality of it is second to none. I think it looks great, you know, which I think is a consideration when you're spending a lot of money. Obviously the brains of the outfit is the rear derailleur there. I've got old school aluminium Dura-Ace pedals on, which I really rate. Unfortunately, you can't get them anymore, which is a real shame. They are on eBay, but the prices of good ones are just ridiculous. But I'm going to stick with these for as long as I can. What else to say? As the added functionality on, in that you can use there's buttons in the shifters which are hidden, which you can click on and it will scroll through, and as you can see there, I've got 70% left on a DI2 battery. It tells you the gear ranges that you're in, and the more you click, the more it scrolls. And with the other shifter, you click on there, it will take you back and back again. And that's just that added bit of those does come in handy. And I've been running the bike now since May on a full charge, and I've still got 70% left in the battery. So I mean, obviously if you do a lot more riding than I do, or you're changing gears all the time, well, I do change gears quite a lot, I would say you could probably looking at least 6 months on one charge. And it's really easy to charge the battery. You just plug into the rear derailleur. So I I really rate it, you know, and I'm already looking at getting the new SRAM Apex 12 speed on my gravel bike. And you know, if I was absolutely loaded of money, I would be getting Ultegra on my winter bike, but I don't really use my winter bike enough, I think, to justify that. So I'm just going for a wider range of gears, mechanical, on my winter bike, and that would be a step too far, you know, unless I won the lottery, of course. But if you're thinking of going for electric gears, and like I was, you just, oh, you know, I would say that from my experience, having ridden mechanical for years, not wanting to change, and then of course I got hit by a car and I had to have a completely new bike. So now was the time to get into that, to go digital if you want. And you know, I looked at, one of the only reasons I didn't have SRAM, to be frank, was that I've got a Stages power meter crank, and at the time I just could not stomach spending the money on a Stages power meter SRAM crank to go with SRAM, which is why I went with Shimano. And I'm really glad I went with Shimano now for the road bike, because just because of that long battery life and the integration and everything else. The shifters, which I think are really, really good. I mean, I've ridden Shimano now for 25 years, and in my experience that's the best of the shifter handles they have ever done. It's perfect, it's the pinnacle, you know. And I think now, obviously circumstance forced me into this change, and I probably wouldn't have done it otherwise, but I'm glad that I have, and every cloud, as they say, has a silver lining. So if you're considering going for an electric group set, of course depending on your frame, depending on all sorts of other factors, I mean, personally, going on the experience of one group set, which is this, I wouldn't touch anything else for a road bike other than Shimano, purely because of that very long battery life, the simplicity of the charging, the fact that you haven't got to take extra batteries. Shimano all the way. And now I'm going to try and get home before this goddamn rain gets me.